What's going on, everybody? Eric Lindquist at Stochastic here on the Odd Chopper channel, coming to you with a Friday edition of Lindy's Leans, Likes, and Locks. Hit that like button, subscribe button, notification bell. Goes a long way for me on this video. Goes a long way for you. That way you become a prize whenever great content is going live here at our little neck of the YouTube woods. Normally, it's great content. The last week and a half, it has not necessarily been the best content. Now, Sunday, that was nice in the NFL streets, but from an NBA perspective, man, after the first 2 weeks, I thought this was easy. This was going to be the easiest season ever. It's my best betting sport, and well, that has not come to fruition the last week and a half, although, thank God, we ended up having two late-night hammer smashes on Wednesday. That was to, thank God, salvage a little bit for me in the Discord. But overall, on this video, there's no doubt I've been losing you money for the last 7 days, 8 days, with one break-even one in the middle of it. That is not good enough. That is not what I am capable of doing. You, who have followed me for 4 years doing this, you probably know that too. So I'm going to get my shit together. How does that sound? That sounds nice to me. Sounds nice to you? Yeah, let's do that. I got a haircut. I'm feeling fly for a white guy. We got tails. We got Bet365. We'll check all of them out later. But producer Jacob, it is time for me to redeem myself. No locks on the card for today. That wasn't even intentional. It's just purely because the lines have been sitting there for quite a while this afternoon, marinating, sitting there in the pot stewing. Probably going to have to be reacting to a lot of news here, and we have tons of news to get to. So without further ado, producer Jacob, let's get to the picks. Game number one, we begin with Miami taking on Indy here in this spot, and Jimmy Butler going to be out for the foreseeable future. You could just copy paste everything that we've had with that, but Jovic is back. Tyler Hero went completely berserk there in that overtime Detroit game, and I mean, that was just a weird ending to that one in general. Tyler Hero been playing some decent ball for them, although still a defensive liability, which is why nobody wanted to trade for him. And Haywood Highsmith, he's going to be in here. I would assume he ends up getting the starting nod. It feels like it's always going to be a little bit matchup dependent, but against Indy, I think Haywood Highsmith is somebody you want out there on Benedict Mathurin in the pick and roll switches. It all makes sense to me as I go through this one, but not a absolute metric ton. Hang on 1 second. Why did this happen to me? Where did it go? There it is. Miami, because I know I have a bet on this one, and I was just like, where did it go? Where did it go? Plus 4.5 is a big number to be getting here up against Indy, considering Tyrese Halliburton's been terrible. I'm Iowa State boy. I'm a stand for Tyrese Halliburton, but since he hurt his shoulder last year, he came back a little bit early. I don't know if he screwed up his shot or his confidence or what is going on inside of that head of his, but he has been terrible overall, and there are times that they should be closing with TJ McConnell over him, because TJ McConnell is just solid, and he makes easy decisions, can knock down an open mid-range jumper or two, not necessarily a three-point shooter by any means, but I think Miami plus 4.5, healthy for what they are, and Indy healthy for what they are, I suppose, too. No Isaiah Jackson, no Aaron Nesmith, and no Andrew Nembhard, but overall, I think Miami has a little bit more. Surprised to see them getting 4.5 here on the road. Next up, the 76ers, and I am under the assumption, and I can't believe I have to say stuff like this, but like, I almost, for some of the leans today, just put no bet, because people keep sending me screenshots and, you went 4-7 or doing whatever, and it's like, yo, don't bet the leans. Leans are things I'm thinking about betting, but that can go one of either way. Now, something really interesting happened with Philly going up against Cleveland. I ended up buying it at 11 on FanDuel at minus 105 there to complement the 8.5, 9.5 that I had sitting there on the Cleveland side of things, and well, it got a little bit dicey because I thought it was a good middle opportunity that showed up, because Jared Allen ended up questionable with a sick rumbly in his tumbler. He had an actual injury, and it was Evan Mobley that ended up showing up out of nowhere. It wasn't even on the injury report, but there were reports of him being really sick pregame, and it kind of got me thinking, man, you better find a middle there if you can. And that's just so hard to be able to dictate what happens with news and injury news the night before. So please, please, please understand that things are going to change throughout the day in the NBA, a lot more than they are in MLB for sure. NFL to some extent, but we're kind of still highlighting a lot of those spots where injury news is going to be massive, like a left tackle or, a major offensive piece. But with that being said, the reason I'm saying all of this here is I'm assuming that we get Joel Embiid and Paul George out there because they played in the NBA Cup, made their debut. I hope everybody saw how bad Joel Embiid was, so you don't run to the window to go jam him here. I'm going to be looking at his unders. I'm really going to be paying attention to his unders, but against Orlando, it's surprising to see them still favored here, if anything. But I totally get it. Paul George is much better than anything else on the other side. Mo Wagner, Franz Wagner, the Wagners, they've been pretty decent. Jalen Suggs, baby. I'm Jalen Suggs. I don't Oh, we don't have time to kill. Sorry. Philly -1.5. Just going to be a lean for me. I repeat, this is not a bet. It's what my data is saying. Don't play it. If the number changes, if the odds change, then we can have that conversation about it getting upgraded to a like in the Discord or over on X if you ask me questions. And follow me at Eric Lindquist over there. But we got Detroit +2 going up against Toronto here in this one. And up north of the border, I don't know why I just did an Aussie accent, but they're south. But I suppose they're in the southern hemisphere. It's up to them. Or you could go all the way. Yeah, it'd be weird to go through the southern. Nobody cares. Cool. Jaden Ivey, the only piece who's questionable here, but we get Emmanuel quickly out. The elbow injury. I mean, how snakebit is this dude this season? Kelly Olynyk's getting close to coming back. I saw he was practicing at least the other day, which is cool. He's getting worked up conditioning-wise. Kind of important for an NBA player to be in good shape, so that's how I feel about that. But Jaden Ivey here being questionable, that's not going to move the needle a crazy amount. Yes, he's a better defender. Yes, there's lots of ways that it works out, but I was going through some of the numbers here in terms of pace metrics, and I've been updating a lot because I think we're going to start seeing a lot more of these totals on the board here shortly. I think the under is close to a play here at 229.5. I do want this to get close to 231.5 before I start looking at this, mainly because when you take Jaden Ivey off the floor, well, that's going to be a worse defender, but you're not really adding a lot of shooting. Marcus Sasser, he can get you a bucket sometimes, but Cole Swider, smite me, oh mighty Swider, and Ron Holland, who ended up getting the start last time out. Oy vey, that's not ideal. But Davion Mitchell back in our lives. He's literally out there for defensive purposes as opposed to Emmanuel quickly. I get it. Detroit's had a lot of these games that are crazy. By the way, too, they're 2-8. They're like one of the best teams against the spread here on the season. Actually, let me double check that fact so that you know that I'm not a damn dirty liar. Yes, I'm killing time. Yes, I'm sorry, producer Jacob. I know we got to go. Yes, 2-10 on the season, 8-4 against the spread. That is wild. Keep that in mind. Oh, this team isn't undervalued by any means. Washington is terrible, taking on Atlanta, who Trae Young did practice in full. He's not going to be on the injury report for this one, completely off of it. Just saying, keep it on high alert because stuff does change. But Trae Young, he's been so good offensively. You're also going to get a piece in Garrison Matthews back off the floor from that starting unit, or Keaton Wallace. What are you talking about, Wallace? Who's out there for defensive purposes, not really a contributor in any other stat category besides just doing the normal point guard passing shit. So there you go. But speaking of that, Trae Young, Jordan Poole. I mean, I've had to come and see the light a little bit on Trae Young because I don't think he was as bad as what I had been harping on him for years. Not a winning basketball player, although he had EPM just fooled at times. Last year, much better than I would say I was giving him credit for with DeJounte Murray off the floor. And I think if they get Dyson Daniels, this version of Dyson Daniels going forward, Zachary Arisa Shea, I mean, it's going to be an interesting Atlanta team, at least from an offensive perspective, but that's going to bring along a team like Washington, who also plays up in pace, sitting up there with a nifty little pace metric themselves. In fact, these two teams, Atlanta third in terms of pace, 103.5 possessions per 48 minutes, and Washington fourth at 102.9. This game should move it. And Jordan Poole, you're going to get somebody in Bilal Coulibaly out there, who, I'm still mad at, but Bub Carrington, Kyle Kuzma, Alexander Sarr, Jordan Poole's going to get all the usage. Assist rate be damned against Atlanta here in this spot. He's going to go after Trae Young. Should work out well for him for one night and one night only. I can't believe I'm going to play this. Can't believe I did it, but I did. Jordan Poole over 21.5 points, -110 at BetMGM. Click it and take it. Let's see. Seatbelt fastened, trunk rattling. Don't want to say that word. In the backseat, spick box, vibrate the tag, make it sound like aluminum cans in the bag. But we got Eric's Tails package for free. We got Pick'em on the left. We got Sportsbooks on the right. We got Rebet on the bottom. If you want to jump into Tails, that is my premium Discord. That is where you can come hang out with me. I don't have the entire premium Discord. We got tons of cappers over there in Tails. Would love to see you there. You simply go down to the link below. You sign up at one of those 11 sites on the right side of the screen with these 4 easy steps at the bottom of your screen. Choose one of our promos below. Sign up using the offer. Take screenshots of your welcome email and first settled bet, and email support@oddshopper.com. Would love to see you there. Back to the picks we go. Oh, we're going to go on a heater sooner rather than later, but it's not going to be laying 10.5 here on Cleveland. Oh boy, oh boy, oh boy. Chicago, pretty competitive little spot. Kobe White gets fouled because they go through his hair. That was the weirdest foul call I can remember at an end of a game ever. Like, barely swiped his hair. It's weird. Should have like NFL rules where it's like when the dreadlocks are coming through, you can pull the dreadlocks because it's part of the helmet, but that seems pretty mean too. Actually, that's a little bit easier to tell than this one. But anyway, Chicago, they're 10.5-point dogs. They're going to play up in pace. Cleveland is not. Cleveland is still undefeated. Cleveland is pretty darn good at basketball. And it's been the offensive end of the floor. So you can go to 2024, 2025 numbers. I usually like dunks and threes. I talk about that a lot. I think it's one of the sharper sites in terms of analytics that is available to anybody. They have a ratings map, and they talk through what changed between last year and this year. And you can literally click on the tabs and go back and forth. And there is no doubt that this is just a revamped offense. 7th in adjusted defensive rating. We expect that, but they are 3rd in adjusted offensive rating. They are bringing Sam Merrill, Pokemon people know what I'm talking about there. I think that's what he said. That's the Pokemon. Yeah. We got definitely an opportunity for tons of guys to show up and play some basketball. Interesting one here. Cleveland 10.5, of course, is the lane, but I'm not going to be laying it. I repeat, don't play this. My data says it's the best currently available between spread, props, and this, and it is not going to be in play. Props, I mean, they are pretty damn efficient in this one. Might be betting some unders. Mainly because people are going to rise that one and make it rise up. Brooklyn, the Battle of New York. We got them taking on the New York Knickerbockers here in the Garden. It's going to be beautiful. By the way, did everybody watch the game? Anne Hathaway almost had OG Anunoby jump into their lap. That was an interesting one. Spilled the popcorn. Looked like her son was going to cry. Guess what? Your mom's Anne Hathaway. You're going to be just fine. But I don't know that for a fact. I mean, Anne Hathaway could be a terrible mom. I think she's a lovely person, though. She's pretty hot. She just did that movie on Netflix. Anyway, we got Josh Hart here in this one. I want to highlight star circle him. You got a questionable Karl Anthony Towns. I don't think it necessarily comes to fruition, but I want to at least list off the injury. It is a left knee contusion. These are the kind of things where we've seen Cat be hyper efficient on the offensive end, and we've been betting his points plus rebounds all the way to the point where it's at 37.5 in this game. Plus Tibbs, we know he has no regard for human life. If you are available to play, you better be ready to play 40 minutes. But it might be something where it limits him to go after some of the boards that Josh Hart, certainly one of the best rebounding 2/3s that we've seen in the NBA in quite some time. And that has me betting immediately his over 9.5 rebounds. If you get Cat ruled out, yay, that news goes for you. As is, I have him at 10.4 rebounds in this spot. That is going to be pretty efficient. It wouldn't be the ideal bet considering the VIG is sitting there at -130, -135, depending on where you're looking. But in the event that Cat gets ruled out, this will be 11.5. If he is limited, this number that I would just be changing it outright to closer to 11. So there's lots of ways that the news can work for you. We haven't had a ton of these spots so far this season, and, well, this is one of them. Lakers taking on the Spurs. Victor Wembanyama 50-piece. It's insane. He didn't even have the high scoring output on Wednesday because Giannis Antetokounmpo is a freak. That's probably why they call him Greek Freak. In fact, he's a Greekish freak. We've got the Lakers, though. They've got their own freak. Year 22, LeBron James. 3 consecutive triple-doubles. And I'm not a chalk donkey, and I'm not going to go out of my way to bet something inside of plus 300 here. But there's only one current book that has numbers available. It is DraftKings for his triple-double. I'm waiting for the triple-double numbers. Plus, you should know by now, if you've listened to me, single-game parlays, you can build out his triple-double portfolio, or sometimes you can just take assists plus rebounds on the alts for 10s, and you can push that to a number where it makes a lot more sense to bet. Because you'll get better than what is listed at the triple-double spots. Now, FanDuel has gotten better this year at not having those prices. It still existed for guys like Russell Westbrook, where the numbers are, like LeBron. He's sitting here right now at 8.5 rebounds. He's sitting at 10.5 assists. That is outrageous. But two things have changed. D'Angelo Russell coming off the bench, not playing nearly as many minutes. And if you saw the look that LeBron James gave him on the fast break where he didn't throw the lob back, you would know D'Angelo Russell's not going to be a Laker for very much longer, more than likely. Although there are not many teams that are going to go out of their way to trade for D'Angelo Russell if he's not going to be an off-ball two. Needs to play with the ball in his hand. That's a disaster. And the Lakers have no purpose with that. JJ Redick, he is not about that life. But I do like the over of 8.5 rebounds at -111 at FanDuel here for LeBron James. LeBron is outrageous. Again, LeBron James triple-double. That's something we're thinking about. It's something we're thinking about. It's at plus 270 on DK currently, but that's not good enough. 365, damn good fun. Bet 5, get 150 in bonus bets right now. Man, we've had a lot of rap references on this beautiful, beautiful show. A place to spend my quiet nights. Time to unwind. Go to the video description in this video of mine. That was really forced. But anyway, bet 365. You don't have to force a baby. Bet 5, get 150 in bonus bets if you're in one of these 11 states. Now, it's only available to you 11. That's sad. That's hurtful. We don't love that. But North Carolina, we love. Come on and raise up. Take your shirt off, twist it around your head, spin it like a helicopter, and drop down to the video description box below, or drop down and get your eagle on, girl. Only if you're 21 and over, 18 and over in Kentucky. If you have a gambling problem, please call or text 1-800-GAMBLER. Back to the picks we go. 5 games left. Hit that like button, subscribe button, notification bell, as I cannot believe what we ran into. And you knew it was coming if you saw this. The Clippers taking on Houston for round 2. Fight. And Ty Lue is on my shit list. I get it. You want James Harden to play inspired ball. You took Terrence Mann out of the starting lineup and tried to switch things up, which was about time. Chris Dunn, probably the best overall two-way player that you had on the floor for that game, which is sad to say. In Houston, 214.5. We know they're going to slow it down, make it hurt. But anyway, we got ourselves an interesting one, purely because I'm running it back, no doubt about it. But a lot of people came to me and said, Eric, why would you possibly bet Norman Powell? He's been shooting unsustainably well. And I get it. A lot of people in the Discord asking me the same thing, saying, oh, there's sharp people that are on the under, and I get it. But here's the thing. Norman Powell, in 3 quarters of work and 8 fewer minutes than he's been playing recently, still got up 19 shots. Yeah, he went 5 for 19 and shot it terrible. So yay, you were right about that, but I was right about volume and pump up the volume. He would have attempted 23, 24, potentially 25 shot attempts in that game with potential for free throws. If Ty Lue doesn't bench the starters in a competitive spot with 7 minutes left, he took Norman Powell off the floor after like a minute and a half of that fourth quarter. Trust me, I was watching. He finishes at 13, but it's not like my projection changes that much from game to game. And, well, James Harden, he's going to go out and get the usage. Hopefully, he just stayed home and chilled by himself and was a good boy back in his old stomping grounds of Houston, and he can pass the basketball to Norman Powell. And if he's hungover, just pass the basketball to Norman Powell. Go look at your jersey in the Raptors. Real ones know what I'm talking about there. But Norman Powell over 21.5 points. Minus 105 at BetMGM. Yeah, it was even money last time around. I ended up double dipping, and when I dip, you dip, we dip. Look at Norman Powell shooting 50, 50, 85. Those are his shooting splits. 50% from 2, 50% from 3, 85% from the free throw line. It's actually a little bit worse now after yesterday's apocalypse, or 2 days ago's apocalypse. But this is Friday. The apocalypse could be amongst Denver here, 8.5. Now, this has dropped back and forth immediately, multiple places, and a lot of books. Huge disparity because this is the biggest piece of injury news on the entire slate. Nikola Jokic, questionable with a personal issue, like a personal issue. No idea what it is. No idea if he's in New Orleans right now. I have zero idea what's going on. All I know is that he is very live to miss this game based on the report that I saw on X. I'm going to be paying very close attention to it and see if he finds his way to New Orleans or not. If he's not in New Orleans, he's not playing basketball. How about that for analysis? But 223.5 total in this one. This could go a lot of different ways. But what I will say is that it can behoove you in the long run to do one thing and one thing only. And that is when you have a piece as monumentally important to a team. There's no piece more important than Nikola Jokic to any team in the NBA right now than Jokic. But you might as well alt the points and rebounds and assists of everybody else, specifically 2 guys you know are going to be in that rotation, Murray and Porter Jr. Now, you're not going to have DeAndre Jordan. You're not going to have any of these other goobers listed. Peyton Watson, no props available for him at the moment, although he's slid into this starting lineup. And I'd say he's been doing a pretty decent little job here. But in the days of yore, you would see Zeke Naji maybe play and start at the 5 here. DeAndre Jordan, again, he was the first guy I brought up because he's been there forever. But look at those single game parlays. If there are numbers available to us, some they're starting to crawl out. Look at Murray and Porter Jr. for every one of those stat categories. Alt them up because there's going to be chances that those alt numbers become the actual numbers if you have Jokic off the floor against New Orleans. Phoenix getting 7 up against OKC. OKC defensively is just doing redonkulous things. Their defensive rating, first in the NBA, continuing to do redonkulous stuff, I would say. And it's very same New Orleans team. You saw a decent rebounding output in that first half by Yves Messi, but they really tightened it up. And Jalen Williams, oh my God, he's just insane. This guy's 6'6", 6'7" out there playing the 5 for OKC and doing an unbelievable job against centers that are 5, 6 inches taller than he is. Well, Phoenix on the other side may or may not have Jusuf Nurkic out there, but there's small ball iterations they might go to. And Mason Plumlee's a good enough passer. There's enough lineups where I think you want Mason Plumlee on the floor against OKC just for the rebounding purposes, no matter what. But Devin Booker is starting to have to take on a massive role here. It's not pretty because Bradley Beal's going to be out. Kevin Durant's going to be out. It is so tough sledding if you're a Phoenix fan here at the moment. But I'm just going to lean OKC minus 7.5. I repeat. All of those favorites I talked about, Philly minus 1.5, Cleveland minus 10.5, OKC minus 7.5. None of those are officially plays yet. They're just on your radar. Lots of fluctuations and changes. 7, 7.5, 7, 7.5. Can I get this up to 8? Then I could potentially look at the other. Again, it is such slim margins when you're talking about the point differentials here. I hope you understand. We're trying to be on the right side of the line movement. I can't really do it. I can't promise you what's going to happen here in this spot, so it's just going to be a pass. We got Memphis, Golden State. I'm just going to give you the play here because I got to get myself going. We got Memphis plus 8.5, Golden State 232. Desmond Bane, oh, he's back in our lives. Potentially, it's questionable for Gotham. By the way, the Penguin, phenomenal. How does DC have one show? Marvel has 400 of them, and the DC show's the best one of them all. I don't know, you don't know, we don't know, but it's a fact. And the last game of the slate, we got Minnesota and Sacramento. I can't even talk about my Minnesota Timberwolves or I will cry, so let's not talk about it. De'Aaron Fox is at 37.5 PRA, and that's a big, big number, but the big news here, Malik Monk's out. You're going to get DeMar DeRozan out. 37.5 PRA, just looking at the under. And that does it for another edition of Lindy's Leans, Likes, and Locks. Head to that comment section below. Let me know your favorite plays that exist on this beautiful, beautiful Friday. We're going to turn this bus around, or I'm going to quit, or, you know, just is what it is. But tails. Love tails. Bet365. Love Bet365. Damn good find. Check them all out. Thank you, producer Jacob. Until next time, friends, I'm Eric Lindquist. Have a great weekend. I'm going to enjoy it here as long as we win a lot on Friday. Best of luck in the NBA streets.